Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Now, the John Wick movies, as you've probably guessed, are some of my favorite action movies in recent memory. They are, for a lot of people, mainly due to the amazing fight choreography, the use of practical scenes and effects, Keanu Reeves' excellent performance, and an interesting world of assassins that doesn't require huge amounts of exposition or world building to really explain how things work. You understand how things work through the strong visuals, strong acting, and strong storytelling. And it continues with John Wick 3 being a non-stop action thrill ride that still manages to get a really good follow-up to Chapter 2. Well, let's get to the story, shall we? After the events of Chapter 2, John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, has been excommunicadoed, and that means he has a $14 million bounty on his head, where he has to find a way to survive all the assassins of New York, as well as all over the world, as he tries to find a way to get himself unexcommunicadoed. So that's basically all the story I'll be able to tell you about. Basically, one of the big selling points of a John Wick movie are, of course, the action scenes. And this is probably the one with the most action scenes in the entire series so far. From beginning to end, there are several big sequences with very minimal edits and cuts, where John and allies and enemies alike fight each other with fists, knives, guns, grenades, basically any kind of weapon that they can get their hands on, and it all looks spectacular. It feels very much like a Hitman video game if it translated to a good movie, which we all know those didn't. But this one happens to have excellent fight choreography, tons of excellent gunplay, a few bits of humor in between the fight scenes that feels genuine and not forced, and a generally massive scale to a lot of the scenes to make them really fun. Halle Berry gets a lot of cool action scenes with her character Sophia, and she's not in the movie for as long as you'd think she'd be, but she definitely makes use of every single minute she's on screen, and she kicks about as much ass as John does in the scenes that she is given. There are even dogs that get on the action, and considering how the whole series was started off by an idiot killing his dog, it kind of feels cathartic for the dogs to attack back, you know? And of course, all this action wouldn't be great if the enemies that John were fighting weren't interesting, but thankfully, they are very interesting, ranging from New York assassins to assassins in the Middle East to executives of the high table. There's no shortage of interesting bad guys for John Wick to take down. Many of them required several different tactics. Many have signature weapons, and all of them are really fun to watch. Now, in the very few scenes where there aren't any action scenes, it's actually pretty straightforward when it comes to the story. Several characters return and others make their debut. Some, like Sophia, like I said, and do make their debut, and they feel like an integral part of the universe. And others, like Ian McShane as Winston and Lance Reddick as the concierge at the Continental, they do great with their return performances, and they even show signs to their characters that are pretty surprising, for me at least. And also the multinational nature of the series allows for assassins from many different countries to be involved. There's Russian assassins with their own ballet theater. There's Japanese thugs that use blades and martial arts, and pretty much a ton of different ones in between. It does feel a little ridiculous how many different assassins are in New York, but hey, John Wick is made in an intentionally unbelievable world, in my opinion. Not one with superpowers, but more with an assassin association that runs so deep it might as well be its own special forces. Basically, the whole film is one big action set piece, with the exception of a few things that lead to my only criticisms. Basically, without spoiling anything, there's a scene where John Wick has to make a huge choice before leading into the final battle, and only about 10 minutes later he goes back on his choice. Now, it's a big choice and it's a good scene, but it does feel like they fell back on that a bit too early to get to the climax. And also, there is another sequel bait ending, just like in Chapter 2, but I actually think that if they ever make a Chapter 4, which they probably will, because this is going to sell really well, that I personally believe John Wick's going to have his final battle in Chapter 4. But that's just my opinion. Chapter 3 is another solid addition to the John Wick series that I recommend to everyone. I give it a 9 out of 10. See you next time.